Alright, this is the second video on how to draw a spoon bowl. So this was from the first one where I did it really quickly, just followed the rule of thirds, I believe it's called. So 1/3, 2/3, and then this whole last part, 3/3, nice and evenly split. But maybe you're thinking that this is just too much of a stretched egg shape. Too long, too pointy, whatever you want. So I'm just going to show you how you can adjust the size of the egg shape of your spoon bowl, right? So you can even see, here's the spoon I made. I made this one freehand, and if you look at them, definitely I like this shape a little bit more than this one, and I think I like it just because it's a little stumpier. So anyway, let's do that. Let's talk about how to adjust the shape of the spoon bowl. And I said this in the first video, but the reason I need to do symmetrical stuff like this is because I don't have the artist's touch when drawing. So I do a lot of freehand spoons. This one probably was from a very loose template that I hand drew, and it looks pretty good, but honestly it's definitely not symmetrical. I like it. I prefer freehand a lot more, but just I don't have the gift of always getting it just right. So when you follow a template very cleanly, sometimes I followed templates before, and I'm amazed at how much easier it is to get something that is much more pleasing to the eye. So I'm just going to try and make this similar. I just took measurements from the other one so we can compare at the end. This is kind of like the meat of the bowl, and then I was just and then I explained you want to make 3 equal parts, but if you want to do something a little different, you can, instead of cutting in half like I did the other time, the longer the radius, so this is the radius, right, center to outside, the longer the radius, the more curved like this your spoon is going to be, right? The much more broader arc. So you can see here a little broader arc, here a little bit pointier. So instead of going to half, I'm actually just going to shorten it a little bit more. But now instead of going all the way to the end like I did in the last one and then measuring out to here, I'm actually going to start a little farther back. So on the other one I would have gone out here, right? Probably could be using much better language for all these things I'm doing, but I'm just going to start here. So we're starting closer to the deepest part of the bowl, which is going to be there. Deepest part should be the wider part. And now it's going to be a stumpier shape. So once again, if you have a French curve, great time to grab a French curve. I don't have one right now. That's okay. All right. Look at that. I actually like this egg shape, I think, a little bit more easier for my eyes to understand the shape if I do this. Boom. So now, let's compare these two shapes. Do this to get them right next to each other. You can see how my first one, that's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of an abnormal. I'd say that's abnormal. This one, a little bit more normal. So once again, I made the circle smaller and I didn't bump it up as far. And this is fun though, because you can pretty much draw out your spoon before you ever really get to creating it. And I don't always do this, but you could then, I usually don't do the side profile. Maybe someday I will, but I feel like that's something that I tend not to worry about. I do a lot of cooking spoons, so I don't have to worry too much about keel and stuff like that. Usually I'm making spoons that are already pretty thick. But eating spoons are a little bit more delicate. So now I'd say, okay, this is going to be the deepest part of the bowl. I haven't seen many people use side profiles, not too often. Good for demonstration purposes, but so there you have it. That'd be a pretty good serving spoon, and then obviously, you know, I don't usually make it kind of bend out as much as this actually shows. I probably actually just shoot for something more like this if it's a serving spoon. But you have all those options up to you. So that's another way how to adjust the type of bowl on your serving spoon.